Hello YouTube, welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy and this is Scruffy Tales. And we will now find out what weapon from the United Kingdom that managed to thwart Russia's invasion. Thwart, thwarted, what a goddamn word. Anyway, moving on. And of course, I'm talking about the N-law. The United Kingdom provided Ukraine with, I believe, was something like 3,000, 5,000 of these. Just prior to the Russian invasion, the Brits realized that shit was about to go down and decided to jump the gun and provide Ukraine with a bunch of these shoulder-fired anti-tank weapons. And this is well and truly an anti-tank weapon. This is a man-portable, shoulder-fired, infantry-operated, single infantry-operated anti-tank weapon. And this thing, well and truly, did prevent the Russians from succeeding with the invasion. So what is it that makes this weapon so special? Well, what it does is gives the soldier, a single soldier, the ability to destroy a tank, a main battle tank, any main battle tank on the planet, as a matter of fact. What you can do with this is you can launch the missile so that it flies in overhead. And once the missile is above the tank, it fires straight down the a liquefied beam of copper. And tanks, as a rule, or well, all tanks have very thin armor on top. So much so that the N-law, with its small penetrator beam, can actually penetrate the tank, all tanks, any tank, and get a critical hit from above that destroys the tank in question. So with this weapon, any soldier with minimal training, say 15 minutes, can actually use this weapon, or 50 minutes, 5 minutes. If you know how to use an AT4, you know how to use this one. And an ordinary soldier can destroy any tank on the planet relying on the N-law. And here we have a very famous incident from the very start of the war, from the first couple of weeks, first couple of days. You have Russian tanks and BMPs driving along this road, an armored column moving into Ukraine. And what happens is that over here, right here, you can see here, a Ukrainian soldier opens fire with an N-law. And here you have the missile flying off towards the armored targets. And here you can see what happens. Now, this is actually the missile. It has flown straight above over the tank. It has fired its penetrator beam, and the missile itself continues along and then crashes into the ground over here. But the penetrator beam, this liquefied beam of copper, has punched a hole into the tank straight from above, causing critical damage within. You get an explosion, a ball of fire, and here you can see later on 2 of the crew bailing the tank as it's smoking and it's moving along under its own power still, but it's moving along uncontrollably, and it is abandoned by the crew. So that's how effective this weapon is. You have one guy over here at pretty close range firing at a tank and he gets a kill. Pretty amazing. And then this battle continues. You have a couple of RPGs firing at the BMPs. I do believe another tank takes a hit. I think it's this tank. A guy up here opens fire straight at the tank and what have you. But anyway, at any rate, here you have one guy with an N-law, and he takes out a tank. One soldier destroys one tank. Quite incredible. Russia attacked Ukraine on the 24th of February 2022 with closer to 2,800 tanks and an additional 400 tanks provided by pro-Russian rebels in the Donbas region. Towards the end of May 2022, Ukraine had destroyed some 650 Russian tanks and close to 3,000 other armored vehicles by relying on the NLAW as well as the American Javelin. And the NLAW was absolutely critical for Ukraine's ability to fight off the Russians during the early months of the war. The NLAW has been credited for destroying between 30 to 40% of the Russian main battle tanks lost during the first year of the war, according to Ukrainian sources. And Russia is estimated to have lost closer to 1,600 tanks during that first year of the conflict. I mean, so 30 to 40% of all tanks destroyed during those first initial months of the war was thanks to British supplied NLAWs. I think there's no doubt that no other Western weapon, Western aid has been more crucial for Ukraine's survival than the NLAWs provided by the United Kingdom. Without them, I mean, it's doubtful that Ukraine would have been able to withstand the invasion and fend off the Russians. So this decision by the United Kingdom to give Ukraine all these anti-tank weapons early on before the invasion began was absolutely crucial. So what is the NLAW? Well, the NLAW began as BIL, Bofors Infantry Light and Lethal. How's that for a name for you? And development began sorry, in 1979, and Sweden adopted this ATGM, anti-tank guided missile, in 1985, and it became officially known in the Swedish Armed Forces as RB56. And by 1999, the system had been upgraded to a new and improved version, the RB56B Bravo, or Build 2. And by 2002, Saab began developing the RB56B into the RB57, known around the world as the NLAW. And this was due to the fact that the United Kingdom wanted a new, powerful anti-tank weapon to be carried around by infantry. And Saab won the contract, and that is why they began work on creating the NLAW. And in 2009, the NLAW was taken into active service. So in essence, Saab removed the wire from the wire-guided ATGM, known as RB56, as well as the tripod and guidance system, and turned the weapon into a more or less a heavy 84 style of weapon. And because of this, right now, any soldier on the battlefield can pick up an NLAW and destroy any tank in existence. And Ukraine has had great success in relying on the NLAW to destroy Russian tanks on the battlefield. And that's it. That's all I have for you. And yeah, I think we should all be very grateful for the UK's decision to send these shipments of NLAWs to Ukraine just prior to the invasion. Because, well, if you ask me, that probably saved Ukraine and allowed them to counterattack and push the Russians back and force Russia to abandon uh, abandon their plans to grab Kiev, assault Sumy, and Kharkiv. And uh, there's no doubt in my mind that these weapons, these shipments provided by United Kingdom, well and truly saved Ukraine from destruction. And yes, we should all be very grateful for the United Kingdom's contribution early on before the war had even begun, because yeah, no doubt in my mind that that saved Ukraine from complete destruction. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you this time around. I hope I'll see you in the next one. And as always, go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.